Hello, my name is Alberto Murillo, aka Chessman. Chess is science because it can be broken down in order to understand it, learn from it, and even predict the next moves. You can now use technology to not only help you learn how to play, but get better at it and connect with players around the world. One can even learn about engineering with chess, as programs can be learned and special attacks and defenses can be engineered in order to win the game. Chess also has plenty of math through the recognition of patterns, learning chess notation, which can help with algebra and chess language, and even thinking in 3D as moves are visualized in the mind before they are done. Chess should therefore be the poster child of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. Chess is like a stem cell for intelligence. If you want more intelligence, then chess is for you. So ask yourself, got chess? In life science, the disciplinary core idea addressed from next generation science standards are information processing and adaptation. In physical science, it's information technologies and instrumentation. Okay. I will now show you how the chess pieces move. Note how the king and queen are centered in the middle. Okay. The pawns are at the front of the battle. These are the pawns. Okay. And other high-ranking pieces are safer in the back, as we see the other pieces there. Just like education, there are 6 levels of advancement in chess. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? If a pawn makes it all the way to the other side, it gets to promote to a higher ranking piece. Basically, any other bigger or higher ranking piece except another king. Okay? In education, students start in elementary. Okay? So elementary will be the first level, followed by middle school, okay, high school, bachelor's, master's, and doctorate. At which point, dreams come true, and like a pawn, a student gets to promote to a much higher ranking position in life. Okay. So ask yourself, do I want to be like a poor and dumb pawn my whole life? Or a rich and smart king or queen when I grow up? So, in thinking about chess, in thinking about moves, and visualizing moves, that is how this applies, okay, to information technology and adaptation. Once you play chess, you have to adapt your game, okay, if you are to win the game. If you're playing a stronger opponent, you have to adapt by becoming strong yourself, okay, or falling prey to the opponent. Okay. So anyways, pawns are at the front. We've got 8 pawns in the board. In this case, we got 8 yellow and 8 brown pawns here. Okay. Pawns start out by either moving 1 space forward or 2 spaces forward. Only in the beginning, pawns can move up to 2 spaces. After which, they could only move 1 space to the front, provided there isn't anything blocking them. In this case, these 2 pawns are not blocking each other. They cannot move. So another pawn would have to move. That guy could go there, right? This guy could go there. This guy could go there. So pawns do not go sideways and they never go backwards. They only move forward. And to attack or capture an enemy, if there is an enemy directly in front of them to a corner, then they can attack it. In this example, okay, this pawn here can capture this guy, capture this pawn. And either this or that pawn can then capture this pawn. So, pawns only move forward. If there's something in front of them, okay, they become paralyzed or stuck. They don't move sideways or backwards. but they do attack and capture the enemies that are directly in front of them to a corner. Okay? They have to be a forward diagonal to them. Okay? So that's how the pawns move, and they are worth 1 point. 1 point for the pawns. Okay? Next up, I'm going to talk about the bishop and knight. Why? Because they are each worth 3 points. Okay? The knight, 3 points. The bishop, 3 points. In the old days, a knight was a soldier on a horse, right? That's why we got a horse figure. The bishop was a wizard or a sorcerer. That's why we got the big pointy magician hat. Now it's more of a religious figure, as even today, bishops in church are high-ranking priests, for those of you that don't know, and they have hats that almost look like this. Okay, so anyways, they're both worth 3 points. I'm going to show you the movement of the bishop first. Bishop moves like an X, diagonally. Whatever color the bishops start in, light or dark, that's the color they stay the whole game. They never switch color. So in this case, this bishop, in order to move, this pawn has to be out of the way, or this pawn has to be out of the way, and then it can move out this way. Okay. If this pawn had moved there, okay, when you capture an enemy in chess, you just capture the spot where the enemy is if it's in your line of fire. In this case, this bishop could capture this pawn here, but that's not very smart because then this pawn could capture this bishop back. And that isn't a smart move at all. Okay? So anyways, that's how the bishops move. The knights, I tell kids, are more like cowboys now. And they kind of move like a gun, like a pistol, right? The cowboy's got his pistols in his holster. Boom, boom, boom. You could either say they move like a gun or they move like a capital L. Basically, it's 3 squares that make an L shape or a gun shape. Okay? It has to be perpendicular angles in the movements. So it could either be 1 space to the side or vertically, followed by 2 spaces, okay? Either horizontal or vertically, depending on how it started. But basically, you add them up and it's 3 squares movements, okay? That are perpendicular angles that either looks like a capital L or a gun. Okay? So for example, if we're looking at this knight over here, he can either move 1, 2, and then here if he wants, or 1, 2, and here, or 1 followed by 2 this way. So there's a perpendicular angle that is made in the movement of the knight. And something to note is whatever color square it's on, its movement has to go to the opposite color. So from light, he'll move to a dark square, and then from a dark square, he'll move to a light, followed by a dark, okay, followed by a light. So that's how the knight moves. And remember, knights and bishops are both worth 3 points each. Okay? Next up is the rook. Okay? The rook is worth 5 points, and it moves, you could say, either like a plus, vertical, and horizontal. You could call it a cross, right? You could call it a T. But basically, it moves vertical and horizontal. But it cannot jump over. The only piece that was able to jump over others was the knight, because it's like a horse, and a horse could jump up over others. But the rook can't. So in order to move this rook from here, if you want, you either first have to move this pawn up, and then you can move it up here. That's like a vertical movement. And then a horizontal movement all the way this way if you want. Okay? So if the rook were to be here, it can move up this way, down here, sideways this way, or sideways over here. So it moves like a plus. Okay? And again, it's worth 5 points. Okay? Next up is the king and queen. I'm going to go ahead and move them and put them in the middle here so you could see them better. The queen is worth 9 points. The king is worth everything. You kill the king, you take over his kingdom. So the king is worth everything else. It's priceless, you could say. All right, queen is worth 9 points. I remember being taught by my teacher, Mr. Jones, that the king was fat and lazy, and that's why he only moved one space at a time. So if the king were in this square, you could move him one square anywhere around him that is open. Okay. The queen moves the same way, but as many squares that are open. So the queen moves vertical, horizontal, okay, and diagonally. So the queen moves in the same way that the rook and the bishop put together. Okay? Like an X, like the bishop diagonally. Okay? Up and down like a cross. Okay? Horizontal and vertically like the rook. So the queen has the most movement. Okay? And that's why after the king, it's the most powerful piece. But remember, if your queen is captured and one of your pawn advances to the last level, it can promote back to the queen. You can have more than one queen. You could have 5, 6, 7. You could have as many queens as you have pawns. Usually it doesn't happen, but that is the case. So, in a nutshell, that's how the pieces in chess move. You know the value that they have, okay? And I'm going to do a little quick demonstration game including chess notation so that you understand how this works. Okay? I can start off by saying pawn e4, e4, followed by pawn e5. Okay. I can do knight g3. We can do over here knight c6, right? We can do bishop c4. Okay. He can also do bishop c5. Okay. I can do pawn d3. He can do pawn d6. I can do knight g5. Okay. He can do pawn h6. I'm going to move this knight back, otherwise he's going to kill him here. So knight h3. He can do pawn a6. I can do queen f3. Okay. He can do knight e7. Okay. And for those of you that can see, the yellow kingdom here can checkmate the king in one move. Okay. I'll give you a few seconds, see who figures it out. Okay. Now, let's see this bishop and let's see this queen here. They can align to attack this piece over here and provide backup to each other. So, oh, I thought it was checkmate, but it's not. The king is going to have a way out, okay? But it'll be checkmate soon enough, okay? So, the queen takes this pawn here, and the king can't kill the queen because she has backup with this bishop. So the king can't go there either, so he has a way out here. Okay. So after queen went f7, king goes d7. And now we could do checkmate in one move. Let's see if you can figure that out. We don't want to put the queen here again, or in this case, we don't want to put the queen here at e6 because the king will just move back. But now we can move the bishop up to e6, and now we have checkmate. The king can't kill the bishop because it has a backup with the queen, and he can't move back here because the queen will kill him. So, as you can see, chess is not a very difficult game. It's a very simple game, okay, that can be learned by all, and the benefits that are associated with it as far as intelligence development, okay, and just learning to have better foresight, better vision in visualizing moves and visualizing steps. It really helps students to adapt intelligence-wise as they continue to learn academically any other subject. Okay, so chess rocks. Thank you.